What's up? A couple months ago I recorded a video sharing with you the best opening for black against the white's first move pawn e4. And that video got a lot of views, I got tons of positive feedback from you guys, from playing this opening and winning, and today I'd like to share with you how Magnus Carlsen himself played this gambit to crush his opponent in virtually 10 moves. And his opponent was not a newbie, it was an Indian Grandmaster Vaibhav Suri, and it was not even a blitz game, therefore White had some time to think, and while losing to Carlsen is nothing special, losing in 10 moves for a Grandmaster is something really rare. Alright, let's get down to business. So, black responds here pawn d5, opening up with the Scandinavian Defense, and once white takes the pawn, you're going knight to f6, so you want to recapture on d5 with a knight, not with a queen, because normally it's not recommended to bring your queen out too early, because it can be attacked by opponent's pieces. Now, at this point, usually the main move for white is pawn d4, and you may have a couple questions here, so let me address those questions along the way. So what if white plays something else instead of pawn d4? So the first question is, what if white decides to defend this pawn by playing pawn c4? In this case, you want to undermine this pawn center by playing pawn a6, and you've got a very great gambit style of playing in this case. I've got a separate video which I do recommend that you check out later so that you know how to react in this case. Another way for white to react here would be just bringing their knight out to c3, but it does not really defend the pawn on d5 as it's been attacked 2 times by you, and therefore you can just go ahead and take it. Right? Why not? I've checked in the database, and in this position white plays another dubious move. They actually go ahead and trade here on d5, which is the most popular move by white, and it's wrong because now after queen takes d5, you just look at this position, it's quite a simple symmetric position, and black is already doing a bit better. You've got your queen out, you can easily bring your knight and your bishop somewhere there, you can castle queenside, and you're just doing really well with very simple moves, so that's definitely not a challenge for black. That's why in the current position, the main move of white is the move pawn d4. They're letting you take this pawn on d5, which is something I do not recommend that you do, but the white's point is if black is seduced by grabbing this pawn back, then white's going to play pawn c4, establishing complete control in the center, building up this beautiful pawn center, driving your knight away, and white says, hey, I'm having a strong center, and what do you have? Nothing. And white is happy about the outcome. But here's the trick. Let's take one move back, and instead of recapturing on d5, you're going to surprise white by playing bishop out to g4, hitting the queen here on d1 and trying to start your attack right away, right from the very first moves. And it's always great because whenever you start attacking your opponent, they always have a chance to blunder something or to just make an error. And in this case, the most challenging move for black would be pawn f3, attacking this bishop. Once again, let's see quickly what if white does not play this move, because again, I don't want to just share with you the game, I want to also show you different lines that you can use, in case your opponent plays one or the other move. So here, instead of pawn f3, what if they do something else? What if they just defend more passively, such as bishop to e2? In this case, well, you're gonna trade, and regardless of whether they take with a knight or with a queen, you're gonna capture here on d5. In this case, it's also attacks that pawn in the center as well as that pawn on the flank. Therefore, while need to go knight f3, here you just play e6 and you simply finalize your development in a normal way, getting an equal game. And funnily enough, the most popular line from this position happens like this. White castles, you go knight c6, and white plays c4, thinking that you're forced to move your queen away, but overlooking a nasty counterblow knight takes d4. Even though they attack your queen, but you don't run away because you attack their queen. And not only that, you're attacking it with a check. So if they take here, let's say, then you can win their queen on e2. Not win, it's a trade, but you win one pawn and now you won another pawn, so you're 2 pawns up and it's time for white to resign. So that's one nice trick here along the way, and even if white is not falling into this trap, anyway, you'll get a simple and equal position. Alright, let's come back to the actual game we're analyzing. Vaibhav played pawn f3, attacking the bishop, and once Carlsen moved it back, white plays pawn c4. That's the most challenging way for black, because white is protecting their extra pawn and building this rock-solid pawn center, so that black definitely needs to do something right now, because if not, white's just going to be a lot better. What are you going to do? Well, you play pawn e6 to undermine the center, and if white takes here on e6, because they're quite forced to, then all of a sudden you play knight to c6, attacking this pawn on d4 and kind of ignoring the fact that white can simply trade here on f7, dragging your king out and again winning one more pawn along the way. But you're playing in this Gambit style, and your opponent is going to capture here on f7 because it looks like there is no reason for white not to. And after you take it with a king, temporarily it looks like white is almost winning. White has 2 extra pawns and this beautiful pawn in the center of the board, and your king is vulnerable. So it looks like super advantageous for white. But there is another factor which is actually more important in the current case. All of the white's pieces are sitting there on the back rank doing nothing, completely passive, and you have almost all of your pieces already into the game and you're ready to bring them into the game real quick. So your bishop can go forward, bishop b4, deliver and check, your rook can go rook e8, deliver and check along this file, and you rush into this devastating attack, which is very, very hard for white to stop anyhow. Anyway, let's see what white did in this game. Since they needed to defend the central pawn on d4, which is currently attacked with the black's knight and queen, they played bishop to e3, defending the pawn. Now like goes bishop b4 check. White decided to play king f2, putting the king into safety, and Carlsen played rook to e8, bringing the rook into play. Now virtually all of the black's pieces are extremely active, aside from this rook from a8, but all the other pieces are extremely active. And now there are a couple like really spectacular lines that could happen in this position. In the game, white played knight to c3, which is a meaningful move. It's a losing one, but it's a meaningful move. There was another interesting move which some of your opponents will play against you, which is pawn a3. So I wanted to share with you because it's practical. You know, some of your opponents will play this move, and it's also just really beautiful. Because in this case, if they try this move pawn a3, the way for you to go is sacrificing the rook here on e3. So take it here on a3, and taking it with a king will lose because you've got another beautiful follow-up, bishop to c2. In this case, it's a deflection. You deflect the queen from protection of this central pawn, and well, the king has to take it anyway because it's been attacked, and now your queen can take this undefended pawn on d4, and the king is forced to move, and now rook e8, it's check, and the king has nowhere to go. All the squares around the king are guarded by, or rather attacked by black's pieces, and so it's over for white. But there is one more really cool line here as well. After black sacrifices here this rook on e3, if white figured it out that they can't recapture here, they may decide to recapture over there on b4, grabbing your bishop. But then the rook is not gonna just go back. It's gonna play rook d3 using another tactical motif, interfering. You're interfering the defense of the white's queen of the central pawn, and so after bishop takes d3, temporarily this line is blocked, and therefore you can still deliver the same killer move queen takes d4 check. Now the king never wants to go to the e-file because you always have this rook e8 to attack the king over there, so the king will probably be moved to f1, but now you can take it here on d3 with check. Knight e2 is forced, rook e8 still comes into play. Thanks to this pin, you're gonna deliver this massive attack of this knight on e2. White needs to defend it somehow, and now since the knight is pinned, you just need to bring more pieces to attack it, and the way to go is playing queen e3, bring one more piece into the attack, and on the next move you're gonna go knight to d4, and then from there the knight is gonna capture here on a2, and there is nothing white can do against this, so it's gonna be checkmate very soon. Like really beautiful and devastating attack that can very well happen in your own game. In the real game, white played another move. White played knight c3 here in this position, but yeah, anyway, it's bad vibe for Vaibhav. Black played rook to take c3 anyway, and drawing the white's king out, and after king takes c3, Carlsen played another sacrifice, knight takes d4. And looks like black is just desperately giving away all of their pieces, playing the give up chess, but it's not the case. After white grabs this knight on d4, black can go queen e7, and wherever the white's king goes, because it's under the check right now, it's never really good for white, because if it goes king to f2, then it falls to this pin bishop c5, pinning the queen, therefore winning the queen and continuing your attack, so that's not an option for white. Let's take a move back. What else can white play here? Well, what if king goes there to d-file? Then you've got another pin, rook to d8. It's quite a cool position that wherever white goes, it falls into one or the other pin. So here white would lose the queen and the game as well. So the final option for white would be going forward with their king, but that's just too dangerous because bringing the white's king out is too dangerous anyway, and here black can just start checking the king, and within just a few moves of this chase, the king has been checkmated. So even though, like in the actual game, white player did not resign on the 10th move, but on the move 10 it was been already completely losing for white. That's why I said that Carlsen virtually won the game in 10 moves, because white could safely resign on move 10. And it's quite spectacular, because that's how you can defeat even a grandmaster in a rapid game, using this gambit. And of course it's going to work much better against amateur players. And if you'd like to improve at chess beyond knowing some opening traps, then I highly recommend that you take the opportunity that you've got right now to check out our upgraded trading portal with the best information that I, as well as a few other chess coaches, created for you to elevate your chess. And right now, because we've just launched this new upgraded trading portal, you've got a chance to get any of our courses at a massive 64% discount. 64 is a very chess number, and also it's fun and beneficial for you, so don't miss this opportunity. There are many people who studied these courses and became title players, state champions, world amateur champions, and got their chess goals that they never thought possible for them. So you can try this out for you, and I'm sure you will enjoy this. Talk to you soon in my next videos. Have a great rest of the day. Bye for now.